At just 30 years old, Eric Eazy-E Wright died from AIDS, sparking decades of conspiracy theories that refused to die. But the real story isn't about how he died. It's about how he revolutionized music forever and became the godfather of gangsta rap. Eric Wright wasn't born to be a rapper. He was born to be a hustler. Growing up in Compton, California in the 1960s, Eric lived in two worlds. His parents gave him stability. His father worked for the Postal Service, and his mother was a school administrator. But the streets offered something different, something more dangerous and more profitable. After dropping out of high school, Eric dove headfirst into drug dealing. By age 22, he had allegedly earned $250,000 from his illegal business. This wasn't just about making money, though. The streets became his business school, teaching him risk management, capital investment, and market dynamics. His future partner, Jerry Heller, would later say that Eric's thug and dope dealer labels weren't just identities. They were calculated armor he needed to survive. Everything changed when Eric's cousin was shot and killed. This tragedy made Eric realize his street career had an expiration date. He needed to find a legitimate way to use his money and skill. The growing Los Angeles hip-hop scene was the perfect opportunity. On March 3, 1987, Eric used his drug profits to found Ruthless Records. He knew he needed help, so he partnered with experienced music manager Jerry Heller. Together, they created something unprecedented, a record label that operated like a street business, but in the music industry. Eric brought the vision and the money, while Heller brought industry connections. Eric's real talent wasn't rapping, it was finding talent. He had an incredible eye for spotting raw ability in his neighborhood. He recruited Andre, Dr. Dre Young, and O'Shea Ice Cube Jackson, who were already performing in local groups. Eric wasn't even planning to rap himself. His entry into performance was almost accidental. When a New York group refused to record Boys in the Hood, a track written by Ice Cube, Eric stepped into the recording booth. His high-pitched voice and fearless attitude made him magnetic. He became the natural leader of what would become NWA, Niggas with Attitudes. With DJ Yella and MC Ren joining the group, the classic lineup was complete. In 1988, they released Straight Outta Compton, an album that changed everything. Ice Cube called it reality rap, uncensored commentary on police brutality, racial profiling, and inner-city violence. The track F the Police was so controversial that the FBI sent the group a formal warning. This made them one of the most talked about and successful acts in music history. But success created new problems. NWA's informal, street-based business structure couldn't handle multi-platinum sales and corporate pressures. The group's members started questioning how profits were being divided, especially Jerry Heller's role in management. Ice Cube was the first to leave Vive in 1989, feeling he wasn't getting fair compensation for his contributions. His departure triggered a war of words on record. NWA attacked him on 100 Miles and Running, and Cube fired back with No Vaseline, one of the most brutal diss tracks ever recorded. Dr. Dre's frustration grew after Ice Cube left. He brought in Marion Suge Knight, an intimidating figure, to examine Ruthless Records' finances and negotiate his release. This decision changed everything, replacing business negotiations with threats of violence. When Eric refused to release Dr. Dre and other artists from their contracts, Suge Knight escalated dramatically. According to multiple accounts, Knight and his associates confronted Eric at a recording studio with baseball bats and lead pipes. They even claimed to have kidnapped Jerry Heller, but the final threat was personal. Knight showed Eric a piece of paper with his mother's home address, making it clear his family was in danger. Under this extreme pressure, Eric signed the release documents. This moment effectively ended NWA in 1991. It also marked a dark shift in the hip-hop industry, where street gang tactics were now being used in million-dollar business disputes. The split between Eric and Dr. Dre became one of hip-hop's most famous rivalries. Dre, now co-founder of Death Row Records with Suge Knight, launched the first attack with his 1992 album, The Chronic. The single F the Wit Dre Day ruthlessly mocked Eric in both the song and music video. Eric's response was devastating. His 1993 EP, It's On, Dr. Dre, 187 M Killer, sold over 2 million copies. The lead single, Real Mother NGs, not only attacked Dre and Snoop Dogg, but also included embarrassing photos of Dre from his pre-NWA days, wearing makeup and lace outfits in the group World Class Wrecking Crew. The feud wasn't just on records. Jerry Heller later claimed Eric seriously considered killing Suge Knight, saying, "This guy is going to be a problem, and I think I should kill him." Whether literal or not, this showed how deadly serious the West Coast rap scene had become. During this time, Eric made some shocking public moves that seemed to contradict his anti-establishment image. In March 1991, he attended a Republican Party fundraiser with President George H.W. Bush. His donation had gotten him invited to join the Republicans' inner circle. Instead of ignoring the invitation, Eric showed up in his signature leather suit, gold chains, and baseball cap among 1,400 conservative Republicans. Eric saw this as proof of a fundamental truth about American power. If you got the money, they've got the time. He used the system's own rules to expose its hypocrisy. The same party that condemned his music was happy to take his money. Even more controversial was Eric's support for Officer Theodore Briseno during the 1993 federal trial of the LAPD officers involved in beating Rodney King. While this seemed like a betrayal to many, Eric had a specific reason. He argued that 3 white officers beat Rodney King, but Briseno was Mexican-American and had actually tried to stop them. Briseno was the only officer who broke the blue wall of silence and testified against his fellow officers. These weren't the actions of someone who had sold out. They showed Eric as someone who refused to be defined by anyone's expectations, whether the political establishment or his own community. He was the ultimate individualist and pragmatist. On February 24, 1995, Eric was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center with a violent cough and breathing problems. He thought it was asthma or bronchitis. Within days, tests revealed the devastating truth. Eric had advanced AIDS. The diagnosis set off a series of rapid, life-changing events. On March 14th, just 12 days before his death, Eric married his longtime girlfriend, Tamika Woods, at his hospital bedside. She was pregnant with their second child. On March 15th, his condition worsened, and he was moved to intensive care. Recognizing the public would want to know, Eric decided to go public with his diagnosis. On March 17th, his attorney read a statement to the media. Eric acknowledged his promiscuous lifestyle and turned his tragedy into a warning. I just feel I've got thousands of young fans who have to learn about what's real when it comes to AIDS. I've learned in the last week that this thing is real and it doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone. Now on a respirator and unable to speak, Eric used his final days to make peace. During the week of March 20th, he reconciled with former NWA members, including a visit from Ice Cube. On March 26, 1995, Eric suffered a collapsed lung that caused fatal heart complications. At 6:35 p.m., Eric Eazy-E Wright was pronounced dead from AIDS-induced pneumonia. His funeral drew over 3,000 mourners. He was buried in a gold casket, wearing a flannel shirt, jeans, and his signature Compton hat. In the decades since, elaborate conspiracy theories have claimed Eric was murdered. The main arguments focus on the speed of his decline and allegations that Suge Knight injected him with HIV-tainted blood. These theories gained traction when Suge Knight joked on Jimmy Kimmel Live about injecting someone with AIDS blood as a slow death, adding the Eazy-E thing. You know what I mean? But medical science tells a different story. HIV progression involves a long clinical latency period, lasting 8 to 10 years, where infected people appear perfectly healthy while the virus destroys their immune system. The final AIDS stage is indeed rapid, but it's the culmination of years of hidden damage. Eric likely had HIV for at least 5 years before his death. He died from PCP pneumonia, a fungal lung infection common in AIDS patients. In 1995, before modern treatments existed, PCP had mortality rates of 11 to 20%, rising to 60-80% for patients requiring ventilation like Eric. His death timeline was tragically typical for untreated late-stage AIDS. The conspiracy theories persist not because of evidence, but because they offer a more dramatic narrative. In gangster rap mythology, an icon should die in a shootout, not from disease. The murder theory provides a clear villain in Suge Knight and fits the violent gangster ethos better than the complex reality of a virus. Eric Wright's true legacy isn't the circumstances of his death, it's the revolution he created. As the godfather of gangster rap, he shifted hip-hop's center to the West Coast and launched gangster rap into mainstream consciousness. His role as an executive was more important than his performance. He discovered and supported future superstars like Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Bone Thugs and Harmony. He proved artists could control their destiny by creating independent labels, a model countless hip-hop moguls would follow. Most importantly, his final public statement transformed his personal tragedy into a powerful wake-up call. The Minority AIDS Project reported an 80% surge in AIDS testing requests after his death, an impact even greater than Magic Johnson's announcement in that community. Eric Eazy-E Wright died at 30, but his influence lives forever. He forced a culture that prized invincibility to confront vulnerability, and in doing so, he may have saved countless lives. That's the real truth about Eazy-E.